first lab where I will that I will be just coding and showing you some basic Java stuff. And give me 1 second. Okay, okay, I can. Yeah, I just want to have only stuff that I need. And so I will show you like the whole process. I will use the example that we used for the diagrams last week about a car, and then I will go ahead and write some code, and you will see how the diagram that we built last week kind of translates into code. And along the way, I will explain a few introductory things about Java, so you have a better sense of like what the syntax looks like, and what are the things to that are like, what are the kind of like important things, and what are the things that are just, let's say, yeah, just accept it as is right now and yeah, move on, so something like that. So so I've shared a link that you can use to get access to the same code. Now, this link, the first one, will be to give you the copy of the same code that you will see in a moment, which will be like a starter code for an empty project. And then I will be, after the lab, I will submit whatever I will write to this second repository. Okay, so right now this repository is obviously a copy of the initial code, so it's kind of empty. There is nothing to see there, but so it's like just boilerplate code or just a template for an empty Java project. So there is nothing much over there. However, as we go, as I code today, I will. When I complete the lab, I will submit the code there, so you can use it as you know, like as some material like going forward to complete your own exercises and assignments. Okay. Okay, so I will start. Yeah, I think, yeah, we have almost like 6 o'clock, so I think I can start. So let me open first the code, sorry, the model that we created last week, and I will start with that model. And so my point last time was that whatever we did with the diagram, so my point was that this diagram can be like the same way this description and this diagram are basically the same thing, like they contain the same information. The only difference is just the way we like kind of like write down this information, right? So here we write it in a box, and here we just have a list of like short sentences, right? And so the same way, yeah, going like down the road, you will probably yeah, very likely learn some other languages, and you will see that the approach is the same, and maybe the syntax is a little bit different. Okay, so since I posted this link, you can again like get your copy of this exercise. Obviously, this is not like a graded assignment or something, so just this link is to just share with you the code, and so you can get your own copies of the same code. Okay, so now this, what you see over here, so I went through this process. So I opened the link over there. So I opened the same link that I posted. Basically, let me show you how that works. So I opened so I opened this exercise, right? So I said like skip name. So this is my copy of the repo, right? And so I will use this open in GitHub Codespaces. So I will use this tool to just, you know, do this exercise using like in a browser. Usually it's a little bit kind of like slower. Going forward, you can switch to using like a Visual Studio Code that is installed locally, but it's basically for a small scale projects. I don't think it matters. And as you can see, yes, it takes a little bit time to basically build this. So what's happening right now is that like GitHub is allocating like a small virtual machine for you to run that Java code, and then you have access through the web page. Okay, and so so I will be starting with this empty code. So this is the actual repo. You can, like, if you want to open it, let's say after you have already accepted the exercise, the link to open it is here, like, as well, just when you open the repo. So it would be in the, so like if you check your repositories, I think yeah, I think it's like, usually it shows like in like recent or something repositories after I open it, but yeah, I don't know, maybe I've disabled that for my account. Yeah, sorry for that. So anyways, you can always use the link that is pasted in the assignment to reach that that repo. And also, like, I think you can also just a second. Yeah, I think you can also like pin this or something like that. Yeah, so basically for each assignment, you will be having like a separate repository, and maybe I should start. I don't know. Okay, so my environment is ready, which is great. And so over here you see like a structure or like the file structure of that project on the left side. I want to so please let me know if the size of the of the fonts are not good enough or something. So I'll try to move this aside. Yeah, I'll try to make things bigger. And yeah, obviously this is, so the structure over here is that there is a source directory. So source or SRC stands for the source code. And when you write uh, Java code in this, like, we will be always only editing or doing things inside this source code folder. So the topmost, so the root directory here is the project folder. So if you look at the repo, you will see that actually this is like these are the contents. Okay, so if you try to put it like on your local machine, obviously your, let's say if you use, for example, GitHub desktop, there will be a separate folder created, and then inside that folder will be these kind of two folders and two files. Okay. So right now, the source folder only contains a single file, which is the app Java. And this file, I want to, yeah, so the other thing is that when you open your project the first time, like VS Code is, and once I open this file, VS Code sees that this is a Java project, and that's why it asks me whether I want some language support. Language support means that as I write Java code, it will try to kind of assist me with the like with the language and making sure that the syntax is right and that kind of stuff. And also, like, you will notice that like when I opened this project the first time, there were like 3 sections over here. Like this was the folder contents, and then was the outline and timeline. Now once the VS Code sees that this is a Java project, you will see this. So this is a special plugin for Java projects, and so it will pop up and it will kind of might kick in like to help you with a few things. Now, right now, we don't need any help since this is a very simple project, and yeah, so going forward, we might use it. But yeah, right now, it just structures the things pretty much the same way, but yeah, adds some more details. We don't need those details right now. Now, before I move forward, so what does this mean? So I want to just talk a little bit about the syntax and what you currently see on the screen. So, and I will do it like this. So first of all, I'll take a screenshot like this because I want to like draw a few things. And then I'll paste this Yeah, I think so. This should be fine. And so I will. Okay, I think. Yeah. Okay, so there are two things you see in this file. Okay, so the first piece that you see is basically like this line, and I would say like this line. So so like parentheses describe like opening and closing of the parentheses that you see right now, and actually like VS Code kind of highlights these in the same color, using the same color. You see the blue ones, right? And so what this means is that this class app, which is this is like a default name, we'll change it in a moment, you will see that. So this class kind of starts here on line 2 and it ends on line 13. This is all it says. Now, I won't talk about the what this public means. Uh, so uh, so this is called an access modifier, and we will have a separate lab when I will introduce what that is. Okay, so like these are like public. In this case, means this is like in technical terms, this is called like access modifier, and this will be covered later on. Okay, so this does not like bother us right now. So this is not kind of let's say, yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, so what you see, the rest of the stuff, what you see here, this is a declaration of the class. So this is a class, and then it says app, and then you see opening over the parentheses and closing. And if I would translate this into a diagram, this diagram would look like this. So let me go to let me actually create it. So if I create an empty class that looks like this right now. So this looks like this. So right again, like right now, I'm just not talking about what's inside. Okay, so if you kind of forget about the contents, just the declaration of the class app with the opening and closing parentheses, it's an equivalent of having this kind of a box with a title on it. Okay, so these two things are equivalent, and then we as sorry, I pushed the wrong button. And then we have this piece, and so this is this is called a method. Let me go to my So this main is called a method, and then I will try to. So main, it's what's called a main method. Okay, and so over here you can also, so I will again, like we will cover the stuff which is like in this what does this public static void means. This is not important right now. All it says is that this is a main method, and then it starts over here. So let me actually put it like this. Okay, so it starts over here and ends over here. So you see opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis. Okay, so this is the main method. So if I would translate this into a diagram, this would be something like this. Okay, now and basically that's it. Okay, so this diagram, this piece, which is basically an empty class, nothing in it, but with a single method which is called main. This is what an empty Java project looks like. Now, this main is like a predefined default name for the method that a Java, like so when I run this app, like this like the Java compiler, basically the software that translates my code, the code that I write, into some machine language, so the computer can run it. So how does it run it? So it translates, it finds the main method, which is, so main is like a predefined name. You cannot change it. It's like when Java was created, someone decided to use this name, and so all Java applications have a method which exactly looks like this, like public static void main, and this is like a just like how to say, this is just someone wrote that this should be like that, and this has never changed. And so this is very kind of in other languages, usually this default method, which is usually like, this is called like an entry point in this application. So what basically this means is that when I run this code, Java will try to find what's inside this method and run it. Okay, so if I write something in here, so for example, if I say just give me a second, I will open chat manage. Why disabled? Give me a second. Um, I don't want this. Inline chat manage. Okay, I'll figure it out next time. I don't know. It previously was a separate like a plugin, and yeah, I was able to disable that pretty easily, but I don't know how to disable it from here. Hi chat. Okay, Copilot edits. Okay, anyways, so let me write something over here. So if I write something over here, and if I run this code, you will see like a hello world output. The reason you see that is that when I run this code, this Java compiler basically translates this into some executable file that can run on my machine. And then that code, actually what it does is that it goes to like Java tries to find the main class. If I remove this, so if I rename this into like, I don't know, like something else, this will not work anymore. Okay, so like because so it will say that you see, please define the main method as this. You see the error message. Okay, so this is like a predefined rule. You just need to kind of I mean, I don't know the reasons why they called it main, but obviously like it made sense back then. And so this is always a starting point of our application. Okay, now let's go a little bit to where does our car come in, right, in this application. And so now I want to a little bit like switch gears and structure our, so start making changes. Okay, so this was just a demonstration of what you see over here. And then and so what we will be doing is that we will start kind of like making a little bit like changes to this code and adding what we call a model, which will be actually like some separate classes and so on. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is actually I want to rename this application. So right now, again, I cannot rename the main because this is like a default name. However, the app over here, it's yeah, I can rename that, and so I will call this like a car example or something, because, well, we are doing car example. Okay, and actually like VS Code is helping me. Usually like you would have to rename this like the name of the class and also rename the file name. So Java has like a rule where you need to keep consistency between the names of the classes and the names of the files. And actually, even though this is like technically it works, otherwise we will keep the rule, or like the coding style, that we will always have a single class in a single file. Okay, so if I want to create more classes for whatever reason, we will get into that. I will always need to create them as separate files. Okay. And so right now, again, like I renamed this into a car example. I still have this main, and let's say I will say hello students. Okay. And I can run this, and you will see the output hello students. So the so these lines that you see over here, this is like what this button does. So what it does is that it's actually like calling like Java compiler, which is installed on my on that virtual machine. So this is like, this, just keep in mind, this is this happening in a browser, and over there they, like in some machine behind the scenes, they have Java installed, and they are running that Java to compile this code. So basically translate this text. So this Java file is basically a text file, so there's no magic inside it. So these are just like, if you would copy this file to your machine, it's like you can open it in on a notepad on a Windows machine, or in like text editor or whatever. So this is just a plain text file. So there is no magic behind it, okay? But it has a certain structure so that the Java compiler can translate it into something that can run on your machine or whatever. And so the Java compiler, the Java, the way it is built, is a language where so there are like so this is like kind of important, like just important to know or consider. So when I'm writing this code, like in old times, based on what machine you have, like if you have a Mac, the code actually that runs on your machine is a little bit different from when you have a Windows machine, or if you have an Android phone or something like that, right? Because the rules are a little bit different over there. The CPU and the hardware is a little bit different. And so why Java is great is that when you compile, so it can translate the same code into those like into runnable applications for different machines. And so in this case, it like whatever this environment is running, it is using like a proper Java compiler kind of to translate the same code. So I don't care whether this, like I'm writing code for Android or I'm writing for a Mac, so it will execute the same way, because Java is kind of considering like when you compile something, you can tell it to compile, I don't know, like for a Mac or for a Windows, and it will give you some different files that will run on those machines. But I can it's enough for me to write the same code. I don't need to consider that. Like some languages are not like that actually. So just so keep in mind. Now, so the next step for me, so I renamed the class. So what this means is that if I go back over here, what I did is that this is a car example, okay? And again, like I only have a main class here, you see, sorry, main method, that's it. Now let's go back to my example, and now I will actually start building the model, okay? Yeah, I hope it will make more sense. So first of all, I need to create like a separate folder for that, because I want to put those additional classes that I will be creating for the model to a separate folder. So and this kind of structure won't change going forward. So you will see that in all our projects that we will usually have a model folder which will contain everything that is, in this case, like car related. Okay, so let me go back to the car. Okay, and I want to basically create this as a class, okay? And let me kind of try to split my screen. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what I will do is that I will go to this model and I will create a new file, which will be a car Java. Because why? Because I want to create this class, okay? And so when I create this, again, like VS Code is helping me, and actually like this guy is like this Copilot or something kicks in. For next time, I'll just disable it for now because yeah. And over here, in terms of like the structure over here, this is the pretty much the same what you saw from here. So let me actually paste this. Okay, let me paste this to our chat. Um, okay. Okay. Uh, Now, the only addition that you have that you see here is a declaration of the package. So this basically refers to the folder that I created. Okay, so this is basically a folder, and this is the name of the file. So like in Java terms, this is like what's called the package, and this is a class. And in if you translate that, what it looks like in a file system, you will see that what you see as a name of the package, that's a folder inside your project, and then the name of the class is usually the file name. Okay, so that is like these two things are consistent with each other. Now, the next step for me is to translate whatever was here. Okay, and so we had the manufacturer here and model name, right? So these were like three attributes, and then we have some additional attributes that have actually separate classes, if you remember. So what I will do is that I will start with the first part initially. I want also to declare some methods, okay? And then we will dive into this part, because for this, I actually need, if you remember, we had some other boxes over here, right? So we had additional classes in here. And so in order to add them to the car, I actually need to add them as separate classes, and then I will be able to put them in the car class as well. And so you will see how that connection works. Okay, so let me start with these three attributes. Now, these three attributes, as you see from here, so the first one is a text. Now, when you add attributes to a class in Java, you need to say what type of information that attribute contains. Now, there are some languages that don't need to, like, where you don't need to do that. So, for example, in Python, but in Java that's the case. And so, like a text information in technical terms, that's called a string. And so, what I will do is that this is manufacturer, okay, and then I need just a semicolon at the end of each line when I'm declaring uh, these attributes, okay? And so my next thing is a year. And so the declaration is also the opposite way. So I need to first define what kind of information it is and then say the name of the attribute, okay? So not the other way around. So if I write it like this, it won't work, okay? So there will be an error. Now, usually VS Code is very helpful in identifying and giving you suggestions about single errors. So if I mess up something, it usually gives you a good suggestion how to fix that. However, keep in mind that if you have multiple errors, then VS Code gets pretty much confused about that. And so that's uh, just a second. Yeah. So and so it gives you bad suggestions. So so if I mess up over here, let's say put again like something like this, sometimes you know, like, and even these errors are like technical errors. And it's like, I suggest you kind of, I mean, sometimes it works, but sometimes it might mess up your code very much. And so it's important to like, so when you start writing code, it's not about writing perfect code. It's about understanding each line of your code very well. Okay, so if you don't know what's going on, that's where the confusion starts, and when you need to basically understand why things are wrong. And please, you know, like try to uh, like find the answer to the error. And so if you see an error, don't skip those errors. So try to fix the code. So until you move to the next line, try to make sure that you have no errors. Okay, like this is a very important that you keep your code pretty much in a shape where you can run it at any time, even though it might not do much. Like for now, like even if I run this code, you see over here, all it does is it says like hello students. But the reason this is important, because if I mess up something, it won't run. Okay, and so because like if you keep things a little bit clean, all yes, you might not move far, but you will have a single error, which is usually very easy to figure out. Now, if you just move on and pile up more errors, it's usually more difficult to clean that up and understand, you know, what the intention was, why, you know, that error, you know, occurred, and that kind of stuff. So now, so my next line would be I need to declare a year, and this should be a number. Now, for numbers, Java has like some different options. And so in this case, then those different options are so the main question over there is that whether you want to have like fractions or decimals with a number or not. So if you want to have decimals, you have some other like different types. And if you don't need decimals, and in our case, for a year, we don't need that. So I will use an integer as a year. Okay, so and as you can see, or actually I can do it like this. Let me do it like this. I'll at some point later on, I'll explain what the difference is between this small int and the capital integer. So now, and then the next thing is the model name. Okay, so again, like string model name. Okay, so right now, what this means is that I basically translated these 3 lines into my class. Okay, so this is basically like equivalent of the same thing. Now I will skip the middle part until I have the classes color, engine, wheel, logo, and headlight, because actually what they would look like is that I need to do something like this. You see this text that you see here, it actually should be copied over here. So you see, for these attributes, the type of the attribute was like a string because it was a text, and then an integer or a string again. But for the color and the engine and the wheel, actually the name of the other class that describes what that data type is will be the actual like description of the data type. So over here, I need now when I put uh, double slash, this is a comment line. So when I put it in the beginning of the line, I can type anything here, and Java, like VS Code and also Java, will just skip it. Okay, and so that's why I was able to write these lines. If I remove these two like the double slash, you will see that like now VS Code is telling me that, you know, we don't know what the color is unless you create a class for that. And so that's why I put these double slash. So these are just comment lines. And usually these comments are used to sometimes describe a function or something like that. So it's usually something like this. So this class describes a car. Okay, something like this. And this would be like an additional description to, let's say, or you know, I could say more a little bit about the class, or if I want to share with with whoever will be reading this code, like some more information. So what I will do next is that I want to declare actually the methods. And so for the methods, what will happen is that I will do it like something like this. So I will say public drive, okay, and then yeah, so like this like so Copilot is suggesting me that I can put it like this. So I need to provide actually like a void was what this is. I'll explain in a moment, like today, what this void means. And then I want to have public void, okay, make a turn. And then this will also like print, make a turn. And then I will say, I don't know why I have carry items, but I think like stop is a good option. And then finally, I can do maybe like void like start the engine. Okay, something like this. Yeah, I let me update these. So I don't want to carry items, but I want to stop and then start the engine, something like this. So now these two, again, like I skipped the middle part, but otherwise what you see here, like, so this class starts over here and ends over here, you see, and then in the middle we have methods. So let me actually also, like take a screenshot of this one, and I'll try to point what these things are. So so this is a car class which starts over here. Do I have? Yes. And then like the closing parenthesis is this one. You see, usually VS Code kind of highlights. So if I'm select, you see, if I put my cursor on this one, if I'm over here, it will highlight what the closing bracket, like closing parenthesis, is for that one. And so this is what the basically you can like on a diagram, you can imagine that these are kind of like the borders of this box. Okay, so this is like the top line and then the lower line. So because it starts there and ends there. Okay, and then we have so these are attributes. Let me put it over here. I'll pick. So these are the attributes. Okay. So in this case, I have like 3 attributes. And then the rest of the stuff are methods. Okay. So let me put it like this. Actually, I want to add a few things. So sometimes you might hear a term properties, and it is you can think of it that these are two interchangeable names for the same thing. Okay, so attributes or like same as properties. And so for methods, these are methods, and you can think of them as like basically these things are functions. Okay. Um, like in some other languages, usually functions sometimes can exist outside classes as well, and sometimes like people refer to those functions, but in Java, those two terms are very often used interchangeably. And so these are, we have 4 methods over here. a second. So I pasted this screenshot in the chat, sorry, in the general channel under my lab links. Okay, okay, so I'll move on now with adding more classes. Okay, and then we will, in the end, once I complete this exercise, like on that side, you will see how we will connect the stuff inside the model with our application. So this one. Okay, so again, like this is still empty, and if you try to run it, or if I try to run it, you will still see like hello students, because it's nothing there. So all Java does, like by default, is that it goes like when I run this, no matter how many like classes I have elsewhere or in other folders, all it does is that it executes the like the main method. And if I since I have not changed it in any way, so I mean I'm still seeing the same output. Now let's go back to our class. So I need to complete this exercise so that we can do a few things now. So the next step for us is that let me create uh, let me create at least two classes, because I want to jump into the you can use the same approach that we will use for the color, or actually let me do the engine and the wheels. Okay, I don't want the color. I can remove the color over here. I'll do the engine and the wheels. Okay, the reason I will do the engine and the wheels is that for the engine class we have a single engine. However, for the wheels, you will see that we will have a single class, which is a wheel, because it's I mean, the same way I did use the string twice, but the actual string class, which is created by the authors of Java, is a single file. So you will see that I don't need the copies of the same class. I just need to declare the attributes properly. So what I will do over here is that I will add a new file, which is called the engine Java. So this will be my engine class. Now for the engine class, I think we had let me copy over what I had here there. So we have displacement, which might be an integer, or sorry for this, like this, displacement, and then I will say horsepower. Okay, and then I have pistons and valves. Now for pistons and valves, over here we had even more classes. Okay, and yeah, maybe I'll do like a piston or valve in a few moments, but yeah, I want to. Yeah, so for now I'll skip these. I don't want to dig very deep. However, I want to. You see, we had like two methods, and then I'll pick the start method because it's important. We can wire it to the start the engine in a few moments. Okay, you will see that. So and so again, like this is now an engine class, and then we have like displacement, horsepower. We can start the engine. And then we have two classes. Now this third one will be the wheel Java. Okay. Once I complete, like I already completed the engine, once I have the wheel, I will go back to my car class to wire the engine and the wheel with the car. So over here, I would say this is okay. We have a size and what else? Mm, um, yeah. So okay. So I don't want to. I will say this spins. Well, is spinning. Okay. So what this means is that like what can a wheel do? Like it will spin or something, right? And actually, going forward, you will see that what I can do is that I will do get speed. So and so I don't have, like, obviously this wheel is, I don't have any hardware that can that this wheel can actually, like, uh, so that I don't have like physical sensors. But if I would be like, I will put like 80 over here. So what this means is that like for I can ask the wheel what, like, how fast it rotates. Okay, so, and what the speed is. And usually in cars, wheels have sensors that actually tell you the speed. And this is like this is basically like in the car software, you would find something like this, which would tell you, like, and then usually the way it works is that there is a chip with some kind of sensors in it that kind of talk to the application and give you the data. So right now I'll just simulate, like, I'll put like static data. But yeah, in other cases, like, I don't know, people who build robots or something usually get or write software for the robots, they would get real actual data, what they, based on, like, how fast something is spinning or something. So so now, like, how do I wire these things together, right? So right now I just have like 3 separate classes. So you can imagine that basically I have like 3, like, so I don't have these lines. Okay, so these, like, I have not wired them together. So all I did so far is that I had a wheel, I have like the engine, and I have the car, right? And I don't have like connections. I mean, you don't see any lines that would show that connection, right? And so now, like, the next step for me would be to build those connections. Now, the next step is to actually add these, like the engine and the wheels to the car. And the way we will do this is that we will do it like this. So I will, so the same way, these are actually like both the engine and the wheels will be attributes, but the main difference will be that they will have the type of that attribute will be actually the name of the class that they represent. And so, and what I will, and I will, yeah, so I put, so the name of the attribute can be anything in here. So I can put, I don't know, like some, I don't know, like very powerful engine, something like this, and it will work. So it's like, however, I cannot touch this one, okay, because the name of the of this is basically the name of the class. If I'm not getting an error, you remember when I wrote about the color, I was getting an error. Now I will get an error if I rename this engine class. So right now these are like, these classes are in the same, what's called a package, and they can see each other. Okay, so if I move the engine, for example, if I create another folder, and if I move the engine class over there, I will need to write like a kind of like a, that's called like an import statement. Basically, that's a reference where I want this code to go and find this kind of like the engine class. And then we have wheels. And so what I will do over here is that this would be like front left wheel, front right, rear left, and rear right. So I have 4 wheels and 1 engine. Okay, and now we have actually a connection. So what this means is that, let me now go to the car example. So there are a couple of things we will be adding in this class. So those things are called getters and setters and so on. I just don't want to complicate things too much. I want to like just show you that what I did so far is that I basically translated what I had in here in this diagram into code. Okay, that's all I did. The rules are a little bit different. Again, like over here, it was boxes and things like that. But this is Java code. And again, as you see, the rules are that after each line, I need to put a semicolon. I have the list of attributes in the beginning, and then I have the declaration of the methods. Each method needs, you know, this public either void. Actually, this void means whether this method will kind of return something or not. Like for a wheel, the speed actually is supposed to return a number, and that's why it's int. But since the other methods are not returning anything, that's what void stands for. Okay, so void means that there is no return statement inside this method. That's all it does. I mean, all it says is that when you have void, this means that if I call this method, you will see how we will call this method in a few moments. All it does is that this will execute certain lines and it will stop there. Okay. So, um, so now, like basically, I have the car, the engine, and the wheel. Those are like my three classes, and so I translated what I had in the diagram into the model. Now, and going back a little bit to the description, what you see over here is the same what you see in the description over here. And if I go back to this picture, you can argue that or like reason that what you see in the picture and what you see the code, that's how I translated that picture into the code. Okay, and these are just simple rules. And yes, the names of the things, like the methods and the attributes and the class. So this is a language that is very kind of once you learn it, it's very simple. There are not that many terms, but when you don't know, these things kind of seem almost like yeah, I mean, very complicated. Now, also, like, so in terms of like also like technical language or technical terms. Now, when we create this class with this with this kind of structure or something, this is called what's called like object-oriented programming, which sounds very complicated, but this is what all we are doing. So all we are doing is that we are creating and object-oriented programming is like the best way how you can translate like real world stuff. So my point is that so you will see, like I will put some code in the car example and you will see how that works. But so my point is that basically this picture could have been anything, right? So I could have put here, I don't know, like basically anything, and then like you can just based on if you so it's a like a decision what kind of things you will pick, like what are the attributes that are relevant for the context, like why, like when you are building this like an application, like based on what you are building the application for or something, right? And then but otherwise it's the same process. And one other thing is that in other languages, let's say if you pick, I don't know, not Java and go and code in a different language, the syntax might be a little bit different. So let's say instead of like strings, I don't need to like I maybe like for example in JavaScript I can like declare something with a different keyword, but the actual structure or the process is exactly the same. Okay, and Java is in that sense like very universal because it is very very close, like it was created like early on, and so a lot of different languages just improved on being more like short. Like for example in some newer languages you don't have to write this long like declaration, which is like just default something that you must write, and there are simple ways to declare like a main function or things like that. But the process is the same, the approach is the same. So now let me wire together the model that we have with our application. Okay, and so this is how it will work. So now imagine that like when we were talking about classes, right? I'm sorry about this model. So we said that basically we did this model as a blueprint. So what this means is that these classes right now, they don't contain like actual, so this is a structure which says what the information about the car should look like. It doesn't say what specific car, like whether, so you don't know whether this is, I don't know, like this is a I don't know, like a Ford truck or a Honda sports car or something else, right? Because this is just a blueprint that I can use to like to apply to those classes. So so like when I was like last time I was showing you the Car Gurus webpage, right? And so basically every card over there when you do a car search is basically the same in terms of the structure, although it has the same like different information, right? And so how does that approach how can we translate that approach into our application? And so this is what it will look like. So hello students, let's create couple of cars using our car class. So a car class is a blueprint. What this means is that you can imagine it's a schematic that will help us build cars. And then I will explain actually how that works. Okay, so what this means is that I will do it like this. So this is like a Honda Civic, okay? And then I will call it a new car. And then I'm getting an error here, and the only reason it is that you remember when I put my classes in the model, now Java has a hard time finding what a car class is. However, it will, and all I need to do is actually I need to put like an import statement, which would be actually model car. Okay, so model in this case is like a folder model. I mean, in Java terms, it is called a package. Like if you go over here, this is a package model. And so over here, I'm telling just this Java application, hey, if you want to know what a car is, go to this class, okay? And then I have one, and what this means is that I will create a new, this is called a new instance of a car. So now what does this mean? Now, when I run this code, the Java application will allocate memory for this Honda Civic, and it will have all the kind of like pieces of that information. These things will be empty for now. However, you will see that actually I want to show you that these methods, once I have this line, once I write this line, I can now do something like this. Honda Civic, sorry, Civic, and then I can start the car. Oops, yeah, start the engine, okay? And then I can do drive, and then I can maybe make a turn, and then I can stop, okay? So once I created this, because this is the blueprint, and yeah, so let me run this code and we'll see what's happening, okay? So this line, the first line is obviously the one over here, right? And then when I'm calling these methods, what happens is that this Honda Civic, well, I implemented these methods. So what these methods do is that they go into this class and then they execute these lines. Now the fun part over here is that I can have multiple cars. Okay, so I would have uh, like the same stuff. Now I have basically two. So what's happening here is that I created a single car, but now I can make like for this application, I can use this car class to create as many instances of cars as I want. Okay, so this is what's happening on the Car Gurus website. So they have a single class which is a structure, and then they use it for multiple cars. Now, you will tell me that you might be thinking that what about these attributes, right? So how do we put the different values in these attributes? Because, well, you would want to have a different model name and different year and different manufacturer. And maybe I will actually, maybe when I say driving, instead of like the car is driving, maybe I put it something like this. Like maybe I put it model name plus is driving, which would make like so which would kind of use the name of the model in the driving in this kind of like a driving message, right? And so for that, let me like replace these. Okay. Okay, and now I will show you like one small trick which will enable us to create like put values, specific values to the manufacturer, to the year. So when I declare this right now, they are kind of empty because I did not like, so even though I called the variable like Honda Civic, it doesn't know like what year it is. Even it doesn't know, like all it knows is that I'm just keeping, this is called what's called like a reference variable. So it references to a new car instance, but there is no like no information in there. Yes, the methods are there, but the properties are empty because we didn't set any values to those properties. So what I will do now is that so the best thing for me would be to do it something like this. So I want to have Honda, actually something like this, Honda. Then the next thing could be like Civic, and then I want to set like, I don't know, like 2000, like 22, something like this. Okay, so now what does this mean? So I want to, when I'm creating a new car, I want to provide the information that will be used to set the values of those attributes. So how then, you see I'm getting an error here because I'm missing a specific, like one kind of like actually like few lines of code inside the car class. And so I will go back and fix it. So for this car, for this line, it will look like this. For the Toyota, let's say this would be Toyota, and this would be Corolla, and then this is maybe like 25, so something like this, right? And so how can I fix this? So this would be like a perfect thing. And now the reason, and because when I then call the start the engine and drive and so on, these values would be used for that. And so to fix that, what I can do is that I need to basically add one method which will have the same name as the class name. So you see, uh, with these methods, I could do like I could write whatever when I was declared, right? So there was no kind of like, there are no rules, right? However, and this method is called again like a constructor, and what it looks like is that it is public. It doesn't return anything. It doesn't need void, or it doesn't need like int or something. So it would look like this, okay? And then I have a string like M, which is for the manufacturer. Then this is string like model, I think, like model. And then I have int year, okay? And then what I will do is that I will put the manufacturer equals M. I don't need this stuff right now. So I have manufacturer M, model name, and then here. And so what will happen is that if I go to the car example over here, and if I run this code now, just let's check the output. So the output now says that even though I'm using the same class, since I'm providing like different data to these two classes, now I have basically two different cars. And you see the names are specific. So when I'm calling like when I'm asking like Toyota Corolla to start the engine, that's the so basically I have two cars, and each of them are kind of independent of each other. Uh, Even though the class is the same, you see? So the structure is the same, but I use the same blueprint to create two instances of the same thing, okay? Now, the next step, and then since this lecture is recorded, you can watch this lecture at your pace, and I will be submitting this code so that you can check the code as well. Now, for the next step for me would be I want to wire the start the engine and the actual engine, okay? And actually, when I'm driving, I want to spin the wheels, okay? So right now, what's happening is that the engine and the wheels are kind of like attributes, but I have not set any values over there. So you see, so since this is just a blueprint, now for the manufacturer, year, and model, I'm using this what's called a constructor. Okay, let me take another screenshot of this one. and I'll put it's a method that has the same name as the class itself. Okay, so this is all it is. So if you see a method, if you see a method that is called the same way as the let me, you see this and this are the same. Okay, again I'll paste this. Okay, that's the only rule. If I rename, like if I want to keep, and the way you use it is that when I'm creating new instances of cars, I can create another car and another car and so on. The rule is that, you know, I want to provide some information from here, and then that's like when I call it, I need to implement that that this is called a constructor. Okay, so constructor. Okay. Again, I'm using this double slash because everything after the double slash will be ignored, and that's why it's fine for me to write this kind of a comment. Okay. And now the next question is, what about the engine and the wheel? So we need a little bit like special treatment for the engine and the wheel. So we don't, so I don't expect that I would set like the values of the engine. So let's say it's enough for me to have just a new engine or on an empty engine. So what's happening is that like my goal is to have an engine that can start. Okay, so I want to start the engine and I want to spin the wheels. Okay, and I want actually to get the speed or something like that. And so for that, there is a there is something that I need to do before I move forward. Uh, so the attribute name for, so you see over here, I set the values of these attributes, right? So I set the value of the manufacturer, model name, and the year. And so what's happening is that I actually need to set the values for these attributes as well before I start using them, okay? Because otherwise, if you check what the value of these attributes is when I create like when I create a new car, is that you will see that they are empty values. So the same way I created a car over here, I actually need to create an engine, but I will create it inside the constructor so that the idea is that whenever I create a new car, it will kind of create this child element or its child engine. So the engine of, let's say, a Honda or something. And so the way this will work is that I need to provide, you know, like the name of the attribute and put a new engine, and then the same way I can do front wheel, like all the wheels. Now, what this will enable me to do, let's now go to start the engine. And so I will say this, let's say a car is starting, and then the next on the next line, you see, since this attribute is called like the engine, and then the engine class has implemented the start function, like start method. Actually, let's implement the constructor for this as well. Okay, so over here, I will say like I have an engine. You see, this is also a constructor, but for the engine, and I'm using the like the displacement and horsepower. Actually, I'll skip the displacement for now and I'll use horsepower only, okay? And so what I will do is actually, let me do it a little bit differently. So what I will do is that when I'm creating a car, I will use the last parameter in this, you know, in this for the new cars will be how many horsepower it has. And so the way I will use this is that I will use it for creating the engine with that many horsepowers, okay? And all I need here is that, let's say Honda Civic has, I don't know, maybe 170 horsepowers, and then Corolla is like has 150. I might be wrong about the numbers, but I think you get the point. So So what I'm doing here is that I'm using yeah. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm providing this horsepower information to the car constructor, and then the car constructor uses this horsepowers to for creating this new engine. Okay, and then the engine class, which gets that horsepower, puts it over here. Now, what I can do is that I can do with like horsepower. With this many HP is starting. Okay, so and what I will do is that when you run this method for the engine, it will tell you, it will show that basically this information was part of the car. So now let's go back over here, and so again, like I'll go through the code once again. I just want to I kind of wire these things together, right? So, and let me, uh, and I'll do just a divider, okay? So that you can see like the first car and then the second car. And now let's run this and let's see what's happening. So, for some reason the car is starting. Hey, where's my engine starting? Oh, I did not. Okay. Start the engine. Where did I put the, okay, yeah, I wanted to start the engine. So if I put this method over here, I thought I put it already. So if I put, so what I'm doing is that right now I'm in the car class, and what I'm doing is that when the car is starting, I want it to start its own engine. Okay, so the very powerful engine is the name of the engine attribute for each car. And let's run this again, and let's see what's happening. So you see, when Civic started, its own engine started. You see, and then for the second car, um, like they said, a different engine. Now these numbers refer to the numbers that we provided for the Honda Civic, and then for the second car, right? For the Toyota. So each has its own engine and it can start. So you see, these are two independent instances of two different cars, even though we are using the same classes. So we are using like the class is a blueprint, and then we can basically create as many cars as we want, and as many engines as we want. But the trick is just to wire things properly, so that when I'm kind of, like right now, like in the main code, I don't mention the engine at all, right? But what's happening is that when I'm creating a car, the car knows to go and pick this stuff, and then finally what I can do is that when I'm driving, okay, when I'm driving, it can, let's say when I'm driving, I can do something like this. So speed, like, and let me like pick like the first wheel, okay? And so system out, like the speed of the car is something. Now, in our implementation for the wheels, we have the same speed like each time, and that's why, like, for both cars, because this is just a number and it does not like pick this from we don't have like a constructor for the wheel right now, and so on. And in both cases it will be 80. However, it is still like, I mean, we see that speed kind of getting reported out of the wheels, okay? So the good thing over here is that we are again like creating two cars, like going back to this, to our diagram, right? So what we did was that we wired this engine, we wired it to the wheel, right? And then we are creating a car, and then the car is kind of, like digging deeper. Well, and you see, this approach is also scalable. So remember, for the engine, you could have like this pistons and valves, right? So if I could go, I could basically, the same way I implemented the car, I can go and provide even more details and provide more, like implement more methods, like for this code. And then in the car example, like I can use the same model to create many things of the same thing. So if you can imagine like sandbox toys. So the idea is that if I have like when you have like a like if when kids play, yeah, over here, I think this is a good example. So you see these, like this is a grape, right? And then if I'm sitting in a sandbox, I can use this blueprint to create as many grapes as I want. They will look the same out of sand, but there will be many, right? So I don't need, like for two grapes, I don't need different forms, right? And so the same way when you build classes, you you create these kind of like blueprints that you use to create as many. And well, unlike the sandbox, obviously through the constructor and through the properties, you can change the behavior a little bit. So your code, like so like imagine if I would declare something. So for example, I can make things even more, like if I add Boolean, for example, like let's say not a Boolean, but let me declare something like a type. Okay, so a type could be, for example, like an SUV or a truck, or I don't know, like a sedan or coupe, right? And so what this would do is that maybe I write the code like later on for the methods that basically based on the type returns different things. For example, like the speed is different, or like when the engine is starting, like there is a different sound or something, right? So this way you can, so based on the attributes, you can write some conditional code. So next time I'll write some if statements, and I'll show you how that works. And I'll write also what's called a loop. So like how can we use like this these classes to create maybe 1,000 cars, or I don't know, like 100 cars. So right now, what I did was that I created like just 2 instances of a car, right? If I want, like, if I follow this approach, like if I want a third car, I need to write another line of code, right? And so, and maybe this is not very convenient or very scalable, right? And so like next time you will see how that can work. And then I will also show you how, like right now, I showed you like what a constructor is. So basically how useful a constructor can be to set the values of the properties. But what about like changing the values of an existing car? So if I have a new car and I want to update the year, or I want to update this information, right? How does that work? So those methods are called getters and setters, and those methods are basically not like some additional features of a class. They are just methods to give you access to these to the values of the properties. Okay, so I'll write one, and then we will write more next time. Okay, so for one, this will be like set model name. Okay, and then I provide a name, like a new name, you can write it like this. So oops. So I provide like a new name, and then it like the value of the model name will change. And then I also want to, what if I just want a value, like check what the value of the of this, or what like if I'm interested what the name of this car is somewhere below, or I want to use it for something else, right? So how do I get that value? And so like for example in this case, I can say like set model name, like like I have a more like a fancier name, and then I can so what I can do is that you will see that if I do like drive with this car now, it will look as if this is a different car. So because the model name will change. You see, so like you see, the Civic Type R is driving, and the speed of the car is like 80 or something, right? So something like that. Um, yeah, so I don't want to go beyond this. I think this is more than enough information for you. So I just want to go over like and summarize what I did today. I did a lot of things. So the first piece, and then I will submit this code, so you will get access to everything what you saw and what you like. Basically, um, you can check or you can copy this code over to your version of the same thing, and it will work the same way. So let me summarize. Okay, so basically we have two. In any Java project, you will see that we will have two pieces. One piece will be the model. The model is usually like a representation of some like in my case, the example was like a certain like a car or a machine. Going forward, you will see that we will describe maybe an organization or like some kind of like, so we will move towards like some business applications or things that usually like that reflect like some real life let's say challenges and processes and that kind of stuff. And so we will, and not pretty much like very much physical things. So for example, you can build if you are building an app for a library, you would have books, right? And so for a book, you would I don't know, like add the different attributes like a title and an author and that kind of stuff, right? And if it's a physical library, you would have shelves and like space on shelves and that kind of stuff, right? And so you would use that. So we will use like the first big example. We will get there probably in a not the next lab, but the lab after that. You will see we will get into the education process. So what like what if I model now like in university or what does that look like? And so you will see that with the same approach you can make these models bigger and bigger, and so this approach, our approach of describing things can scale pretty easily. And so the structure again is that we have a model, and then we have usually a single file that is actually something that runs and uses the model to create to create instances of these, like, so basically the app kind of put some kind of like life into the model because it uses the model to create those instances, and then we can run the code, like use those instances like to create multiple instances, make them run, make them do certain things, and we will use different kind of real life examples to show how what a study process looks like. And now this process that like this so when I create like creating of the instances in the main class, this is what's called populating the model. Okay, so so you can say that I created like over here I have like two instances of the same class, right? So that's and populating, when I say populating, this means that I set values to the attributes, right? Like to these two instances, right? And so I put data into, like, so I created kind of like two instances, and then I put data in it, and then I can run certain things, and I can see how that data is used for these methods. And yeah, so this is the main like idea and the learning behind this. And so going forward, we will do more stuff in our main class, and we will do more and more complicated models. Like in the next lab, I will show you what a loop is, and also like how do we model like let's say a list of things. So if I have, for example, like this is more like a kind of uh, like I mean what I will cover in the next lab. So when we have a list of like for example a class of students, right? So if I would create like a class that has students, how can I create a model for that. So why I'm saying that, right? So if I'm creating a class of students, right now I have for each attribute, I have like basically for each piece of information, I have a separate variable, right? But if I'm creating a, so if it's a class of students, I mean at the university, I mean, right? So so should I put it like, I don't know, like student one, student two, uh, student three, like, so how do I do this? Okay, and so you will see that there is a certain technique, there is a certain data type we will use as a container for multiple, and so this is very inconvenient because, well, different classes can have different number of students, right? So how many attributes should I make here? So this approach is not scalable. I mean, right? So it's like, I mean, this won't work because like how many, like, no, so like there would be like very there would be like a confusion because like if I put like too many attributes, what if I have a class of just two students or something like that, right? So I want things to be more flexible, and so we will introduce like if I'm building a class for a garage that has spaces in it, right? And then, well, I might not know upfront like how many spaces the garage has, right? I don't want to hard code like the same way like what I did, for example, over here. Like this is, I mean, this won't work, right? In real life, right? So I cannot like hard code and say, hey, speed is always 80 or garage has like only 50 places, right? So I need to make these things like flexible, and so we will use. I will show how we can model that, like how we can create like group, like how we can describe groups of things, groups of same types. Okay.